Hallo und willkommen zum Stream. Hallo Katari, schön, dass du wieder da bist. Wir spielen The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles weiter. Genau, darauf erstmal den Richterhammer. Wir continuen unser Abenteuer natürlich, ja. Wunderbar. Ich hoffe, dass der Ton soweit in Ordnung ist. Hallo Kasuma, lang nicht mehr gesehen. Oh je. Genau, wir haben ja den Bericht bekommen beim letzten Mal. Und den haben wir uns nicht mehr angeschaut, weil ich ja gemein war. Tja, damit werdet ihr wohl leben müssen. Das bin ich öfter. So, aber bevor wir hier fortfahren... Haben wir den schon? Ja, haben wir. Schauen wir uns erstmal ganz genau an, was wir hier so haben, weil es ist schon ein bisschen her. So. Post, Mod im Report, genau. Wir haben ja unser Opfer, das von hinten, das hinterrücks von vorne erschossen wurde, genau. Genau. Bullet did not pass through victims' bodies, sehr gut. Also, ich weiß nicht, ob es gut ist, aber wir haben die Info und dass wir die Info haben, ist vielleicht gut. So, wir haben ein Foto. Ja, genau, man sieht hier sehr deutlich, hinterrücks von vorne erschossen. Magnifying Glass, okay. Kann man sich das jetzt hier so genauer anschauen? Nö, okay. Dann haben wir die Karte von dem Kellner, ja. Okay. Das Foto. Genau, wir hatten ja noch die mysteriöse, unbekannte Frau, von der wir nicht wissen, ob sie existiert oder nicht. Wir sagen, ja, sie existiert. Alle anderen haben sie irgendwie nicht gesehen. Keine Ahnung, also wir haben hier aber nur einen Teller. Es könnte allerdings auch sehr viele verschiedene Ursachen haben. Und hier haben wir den Medical Reports. Schauen wir uns den doch mal an. Oder auch nicht, weil wir ihn zwar haben, aber noch nicht anschauen dürfen. Weil Kasuma anscheinend erst ausreden muss. Okay. Vollkommen in Ordnung. Verstehe ich. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Das wollte ich doch gerade. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use... What? Was ist das für ein Cheatcode? Also rauf, links, runter, rechts, auf... ach komm. Ich weiß, das ist so gemeint, aber im ersten Moment erinnert sich noch jemand an diese uralten Cheatcodes, wo man irgendwie rauf, runter, links, rechts, A, B, X, Y, Z alles eingeben musste. Genau das erinnert mich das gerade. Okay, Medical Report Card. Required for every visit. Dann schauen wir uns das noch mal an. I can find anything out of place. Ich kann es drehen. Aha. Ein Eselsohr. Warum ist das abgeklippt? Weil wir es hier aufmachen können. Okay. Können wir uns das noch deutlicher anschauen? Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Okay. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? Hä? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Also, der war gerade beim Zahnarzt, hat sich einen Zahn ziehen lassen und futtert direkt danach ein Steak? Ich meine, ich habe jetzt noch nie solche Probleme gehabt, aber ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass das so eine gute Idee ist. Wenn du gerade frischen Zahnraut hast und erstmal ein Steak reinknabberst. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Direkt nach einem Zahnziehen darf man doch noch gar nichts essen. Der Mund ist doch noch taub danach. Ja, nicht wahr? Also, das erklärt, warum wir nur ein Steak auf dem Tisch hatten. Und das Steak hat nicht dem Professor gehört. Der hat doch sicherlich nicht frisch nach einem gezogenen Zahn Steak runtergeklatscht. Never. Although, it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Oh, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Aha, Haben wir das doch gerade nicht alle noch gesagt? Aha. Hier ist was ganz faul. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Na und wie? The medical report card's information has been updated in the court record. Was haben wir jetzt? A record of dental work. On the day of the murder, the victim had undergone dental treatment and been prohibited from eating or drinking anything but water. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Ja, das finde ich auch. Ich weiß nämlich auch nicht mehr, was da gesagt wurde. Definitely. Okay, wir haben das ja letztes Mal schon gehört. Das heißt, wir brauchen nur noch den richtigen Punkt. Confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Ja, glaube ich denen noch immer nicht. Die lügen. Die lügen einfach. Dining all by himself. War er das denn? Oh. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ja, das hatten wir gerade. Darf ich das nicht präsentieren? Ich wollte, hallo? Kazuma? Wir hatten gerade genau diese Unterhaltung. Ist keine Minute her. Ach. Okay, Spiel. Okay. Okay. Doppelt hält besser. Damit wir uns das auch wirklich merken. Vor allem ich. Damit vor allem ich mir sowas merke. Ja, hier. Ich wollte das doch präsentieren. Lasst mich das präsentieren und nicht hier so. Ach ja. Man sollte vielleicht den richtigen Button drücken. Ups. Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Besonders ich. Das passiert mir ziemlich oft. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. All right. And thanks for the advice. Korekuta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statements. Oh, Zeus. Something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, dear me. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. That was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon, when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There's surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this... Entschuldigung, ich war noch nicht fertig. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hotta Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. Dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat? So what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure, while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't... Korekuta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. Additionally, there's more? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. Das hatte schon etwas mehr Rums. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. Dankeschön. Nix Einspruch da. What is this nonsense? You little upstart. These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Okay. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? All right. The answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Eighty tables. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been the victim himself? Me? Of course. It was me. Ich war's. Ich bin da am Tisch gesessen. Okay, ich geb's zu, ich habe das Steak gefuttert. The two witnesses. Ist natürlich auch eine Option. An as yet unknown third party. Auch bekannt als die unbekannte Frau, die außer Ryunosuke niemand gesehen haben möchte. Nee, ich denke, es war ich. Definitiv. Du hast was? Ja, ich weiß. Es ist tragisch, aber ich hab's getan. Ich hab das Steak gegessen. Tja. Kommen wir jetzt. Obviously. It can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. Und du hast mir nichts übrig gelassen. Ich wollte dir was übrig lassen und dann ist aber leider der Professor erschossen worden. Katari, es tut mir leid. Ich wollte. Aber ich hatte da wirklich keinen Einfluss auf die Situation. Oh nein. Ernst bleiben, ernste Situation. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial. Relentlessly. Kazuma. Are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issues with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And, since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing complicit in murder? No. Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. Orders? Du folgst Anweisungen bei einem Gerichtsprozess? Wie wär's mit Wahrheit sagen? That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Was für ein Meeting? Ja, das ist eine sehr gute Frage. Das ist eine sehr gute Frage. Was für ein Meeting? Und wer steckt dahinter? Na, hast du dich gerade verquatscht? Oh. What? What did you just say, Kurekuta-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders? No, hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Ja, na. Da gehen aber zwei auf Grundeis gerade. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Order! Counsel, explain what's going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as Lesen ist eine Kunst, die ich nicht beherrsche. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke. Judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Auchi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence? There are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the governments, the military, or the police, I suppose. Uiuiui. Das nimmt hier gerade einen Turn. This escalated rather quickly. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. But please wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency. No time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Nein, erst gehen wir in den Court Record. Hier. Können wir uns hier irgendwas anschauen? Nein, können wir nicht. Hier. Magnifying Glass. Irgendwas hier. Hier. Nein, okay. Eine Spiegelung im Glas vielleicht? Auch nicht. Also dieses Magnifying Glass bringt irgendwie gar nichts. Da erkennt man auch nicht viel mehr. Okay, das hier wird es wohl nicht sein. Waiter, Business Card. Wait. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Primary Criminal Investigation Division. Imperial Police Bureau. Excuse me? Das haben wir uns ja gar nicht angeschaut beim letzten Mal, die Rückseite. Well, that's unexpected. Das war doch der Kellner. Der ist Polizist? What? What is? Look. Do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes. Business cards tend to tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. That's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Primary Criminal Investigation Division. Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it. The police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here... Waiter's business card information has been updated in the court record. Okay. Das ist interessant, das ist wichtig. Ich will mir aber das ja auch nochmal ansehen, ob wir hier irgendwie noch irgendwas haben. Das ist super weird mit dem Magnifying Glass da irgendwie herumzutun. Keine Spiegelungen in der Flasche? Nö. Das möchte ich jetzt eigentlich auch nicht nochmal... Nicht 5-mal neu anklicken, ehrlich gesagt, weil... Dentist oder Klinik... Date, Record Number, okay. Das wird jetzt wohl nicht wichtig sein. Aber das bedeutet, dass unser Headwaiter hier eigentlich für die Polizei arbeitet. Da stellt sich allerdings die Frage, warum ist er dann als Kellner da? Also irgendwas undercover wahrscheinlich, aber was hat das mit dem Mord an dem Professor zu tun? Mysteriös. Ich bin gespannt. Ich hoffe, ihr auch. Das nimmt hier gerade Wendungen. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Also, falscher Button. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier. Poppycock. What? Was ist das denn? Auch noch nie gehört. What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the facts that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? If he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity, as proven by this evidence. The waiter's business card. Los geht's. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree. It shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yep. Dreh's halt um. Du bist Richter, das wird jetzt nicht so schwer sein, oder? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. Dieses Spiel. Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. The front of the back of the card. Das ist wie der hinterrücks erschossene Typ, der von vorne erschossen wurde. Alles klar. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Ryunosuke ist so süß. Irgendwie schon, wenn er so anfängt. Das ist nicht das, was wir versuchen zu sagen. Wir versuchen dir zu sagen, Herr Richter, dreh doch das Ding einfach um. Dreh die Karte um. Das ist nicht schwierig. Hosonaga-san sketched a plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession. But that's surely. Good gracious. That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Ich kann das auch beim dritten Mal noch nicht richtig aussprechen. Egal. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power. As far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it, in fact, the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Guten Tag, Herr Polizeikellner. Inspector Hosonaga. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized this was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Hat der ernsthaft gedacht, dass niemand den Zettel umdrehen wird? Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. but I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Oh, of course. Your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. Ich hasse das, wenn das Spiel das manchmal so super schnell wegmacht. Also das bin nicht ich, die das wegklickt. Das ist das Spiel. Undercover? Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga. But you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, her testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Das sieht nicht gesund aus, Kumpel. Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim, at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an English woman. Wait. Opposite the victim, also ihm gegenüber. Und er wurde hinterrücks von vorne erschossen. Das macht sie doch gerade zur Verdächtigen Nummer 1. Aber na klar, das wusste er natürlich nicht und Ryunosuke hatte ja die Waffe in der Hand. Was immer noch nicht schlau ist, liebe Kinder. Wenn ihr eine Waffe rumliegen seht, lasst sie liegen, hebt sie nicht auf, das ist nicht klug. Damit kommt ihr nur in Schwierigkeiten. Bitte nicht nachmachen. Dankeschön. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interests not to pursue that idea. Aber nach allem, was wir wissen, ich meine gut, er konnte es ja jetzt nicht so genau wissen, aber wir haben ja Beweise schon. Und nach allem, was unsere Beweise uns sagen, ist sie doch im Moment gerade die Hauptverdächtige. Oder übersehe ich was? The Empire used the friendly terms of its relationships with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an English woman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. Aber wir haben Evidenz. Wir haben jetzt Evidenz. So, that's the reason for the disappearance of the phantom woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean? When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Chazelle Brett. She is indeed a foreign study, She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical faculty. What is happening here? Das frage ich mich auch. I admit that under the orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Ja, dann ist das halt so. Entschuldige mal. Hallo? Schon mal was von Gerechtigkeit gehört? Also genau das System, für das du da sitzt und unnötig unser aller Zeit verschwendest offensichtlich? Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. Ja genau, chill mal. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Wenigstens eines halbwegs bei klarem Gedanken. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Chazelle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against against the special orders you were giving from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So, it won't be a problem. Kumpel, du siehst nicht gesund aus. Nothing will get in my way. So siehst du aber nicht aus. Bin das jetzt nur ich? Liegt's an mir oder habe ich so das Gefühl, dass da irgendwie schon irgendwas im Way sein wird? Können wir vielleicht mal irgendwie einen Arzt rufen oder so? Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Gerichtssäle Brett, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency. Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. To be continued. Ja, Spiel, ich möchte natürlich meinen Current Progress speichern. Ja, bitte, danke. Also. Wir schreiben den 22. November um 11:38 Uhr. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight. But before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it. That's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Gerichtssäle Brett, student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in a courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Oh, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise. If I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma. Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes. You need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in the restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Aha, okay. Und warum hast du eine personal connection? Es werden irgendwie immer mehr Leute. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, ja, das ergibt natürlich Sinn, weil er ist ja auch Professor da, ne? Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow before those old fossil snowboards hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. It's the kind of true friend he is. So, this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Natürlich, was auch sonst. Was auch sonst. 22. November, 12:09 Uhr. Supreme Court of Judicature. Courtroom 2. Und damit sind wir zurück im Gerichtssaal und gleichzeitig leider auch am Ende dieses Streams angekommen. Es ist auch eigentlich wieder so ein böser Moment und ich habe eigentlich gehofft, dass ich den Fall heute abschließen kann, aber ja, ich spüre, dass mein Hals gerade irgendwie nicht weiter so viel reden möchte. Also würde ich sagen, machen wir an der Stelle wieder mal eine kleine Pause. Hoffentlich eine kürzere als beim letzten Mal. Und ich würde sagen, wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder, wenn wir diesen Fall endgültig aufklären und herausfinden, wer der Schuldige in dieser Sache steckt. Wer der Schuldige in dieser Sache ist und hinter dieser Sache steckt. Dann ruh dich gut aus. Danke für den Stream. Danke fürs Dabeisein, Katari. Dankeschön. Und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. Bye, bye.